Yeah. So I think luxury for me just means when you can have someone who has your back,
Mm,
period. Right. That's a true luxury that most people in this AI driven day and age don't have.
mm.
So luxury travel management for us really is about somebody having your back 24/7, proactively watching over you and your travel and making sure that everything is smooth and seamless.
Welcome to Frank Growth. I'm Jason Shafton, and I run growth consulting firm Winston Francois. Around here, we tell the truth about growing, the good, the bad, and the can't say it out loud ugly. Every episode, we get tactical with operators, investors, and builders about what works, what breaks, and what to do next. No fluff, no vanity metrics, no hustle theater, just signal. This is Frank Growth. Let's get into it. Today, we're talking to Leigh Rowan, Grow by Word of Mouth. Before we bring Leigh in, a quick riff on today's topic. Most founders think you need paid channels to scale. Leigh built a travel empire serving ultra-high net worth clients, family offices, and Hollywood entertainers with zero advertising ever. 3 things that make word of mouth growth actually compound. 1, disproportionate value delivery, not meeting expectations, but making people feel stupid for not telling their friends. The referral has to be effortless because the experience was undeniable. 2, service as product. In service businesses, the team is the product. Culture, hiring, and standards aren't HR slides. They're your growth engine. And 3, trust that transfers. Word of mouth only works when the person recommending you is putting their own reputation on the line. You have to be worth that bet. Here are 3 traps I see in service businesses. First, scaling headcount before scaling quality. Second, chasing new segments before owning the one you're in. And third, treating referrals as a bonus instead of designing a system around them. That's the frame we'll use today with Leigh. Let's get into it. Leigh, welcome to Frank Growth.
Thank you so much for having me. Jason, it's a pleasure to be here. Super psyched to chat with you today.
Yeah, likewise. You're the founder and CEO of Savanti Travel, a luxury travel management company that serves ultra-high net worth individuals, family offices, VC firms, and Hollywood entertainers. You've got a 30-plus member team across 5 continents. You've saved clients over $10 million by optimizing points and miles. And the kicker, I think, is that you've never advertised, not once, and everything has been word of mouth. Do I have that right?
You got it. You got it. And from the time we're recording this, we'll be celebrating our 10-year anniversary, 10 years of being in business.
Congrats. So maybe let's start at the beginning. In one sentence, what is luxury travel management and what do most people get wrong about it?
Yeah. So I think luxury for me just means when you can have someone who has your back, period. Right. That's a true luxury that most people in this AI driven day and age don't have. So luxury travel management for us really is about somebody having your back 24/7, proactively watching over you and your travel and making sure that everything is smooth and seamless. Look, anybody today can book a 4 Seasons or book a flight. For us, real luxury comes with relationships, advocacy, that personalized access and touch that you can't buy online. And so for us, as we look at the next decade ahead and how we hyper personalize luxury for people, it's about deep personalization and care. It's not about most expensive brand or the highest transaction value, right? And that's what we're really trying to optimize for.
You didn't actually start in this kind of like ultra luxe segment. You started just helping entrepreneurs unlock strategic value from their points and their miles. And I think you turned these overlooked loyalty assets into real travel outcomes. How did that niche find you?
I mean, I think it kind of more found us in this very interesting way where we were experts in points and miles, still are to this day, but quickly realized that in for people was just an access point. They actually needed full service. I have your back. I'm here to help you 24/7 kind of support. Entrepreneurs, especially people who are super busy, who have an EA or a PA or a chief of staff who is actually a human being who needs to sleep, right? They can't be available 24/7. Those entrepreneurs, they needed something more and they needed the unlock of honestly giving their support that they already had more support, right? So we came in and figured out that it wasn't just the points and miles stuff, which is definitely an entry point and something that is valuable to a lot of people, but that people just wanted that level of access, support, and intelligence that could help their travel be super seamless and easy. And here we are a decade later, still doing it.
So it's a pretty big evolution to go from how do I get the most out of my loyalty assets to money is no object, just make it extraordinary. Walk us through that kind of shift and how do you go from optimizing points for founders to orchestrating travel for clients where the value equation is maybe quite different?
Yeah. So I think for us, it's all about realizing that we're unlocking value from a lot of different asset classes, right? Time is one of them. Money is obviously another. Points and miles can be one, but we have this really special secret sauce in our relationships. And we're unlocking the value of our relationships, delivering a triple win where we get to place clients with some of our now become friends, right? Some of our key partners in different places around the world to have these experiences that sometimes money can't buy. It really is about knowing the right people, knowing the right handshake, what level of access you can get. But those are all different like points of value, right? And they're different levers for different people. And so what we've realized over this past decade is every single trip is different. Every single experience we create or curate for a client is different. From a banal Southwest ticket with the right seat to the right private jet with the right catering on it, right? So clients weren't just looking for optimization. They wanted the full, I have support. I have somebody who understands me and who really can do this high touch experience planning for me. It's great to be able to do the VIP treatment and upgrades and perks and all that stuff that they didn't have access to before, but really it's this level of service that's now this new asset class they love.
So delivering on that level of service, how did you have to lead your team and what was the kind of mindset shift that happened with folks on your team to build those relationships, to move up market, to have these very like unattainable experiences, you know, as a leader, how did you get there?
Yeah. Well, great question. And one that we're continually working on every single day, right? Because every engagement, every experience we create is a new chance to continually rebuild trust, to understand the human being at the other end of the table, and to make sure that we're listening to them. We're hearing what they're valuing in this experience and how we can deliver on it. So the one thing I would say that I think has been crucial for us is the power of listening, right? We're in a relationship with our clients where we need to hear the said and unsaid, right? And when we hear the unsaid in particular, when we can pick up on that, then we can really deliver value. Because somebody who has all the money in the world, or maybe they have all the time in the world, or both, they might be really reticent to spend those things if they don't feel like they're being heard, or if they don't feel like they're getting the best value for their assets. And so what we would try to do is really instill on our team, listen to what the client is actually saying. Ask questions, probe a little deeper if you can, and hear them, hear that humanity, and then deliver on that. And I'll tell you, it's not always easy, especially with a team of 30 across, 5 continents who's come from different backgrounds and ethnicities and linguistic homes, right? But that's what we're trying to do every day.
So you've, with that team, saved clients 10 million plus in like just by purely leveraging the points and the miles assets that a lot of folks, including me, don't treat as valuable enough.
Sure.
What is the system behind that, and why do most people leave that value just sitting there?
Well, I think it's a hassle to deal with some of these things, right? It's a hassle to manage points and miles. It's too much. Right? So what we've done is in listening to our clients and hearing the humanity behind what they're needing, and by leveraging tools like a robust CRM that will allow us to actually capture static data, but also look at some of the more, I would say, fluid data that our clients are giving us, we're able to put together a really great picture of what our clients' needs and how we can deliver value on that. So we take those needs and look at, is this the right opportunity to use points and miles as an asset to save them money? Is this going to deliver the experience they're looking for, and why? And if there's a deal out there, we want to get it for that client and make sure they're proud to not be boastful, but to be excited for them when we can deliver the value and say, hey, we just saved you a bunch of money using these things that you've kind of written off as a waste, right? Or better yet, we've connected you with an experience that you never would have thought about because, it's on a list somewhere or whatever, but we happen to know this is perfectly cut out for you based on what you're looking for.
Let's talk about that CRM for a minute. So is this something you guys built yourselves or use kind of an off-the-shelf product that you've customized? Like, how are you managing this, I'm sure, incredible Rolodex of ultra-wealthy folks who, don't have a lot of time, and I imagine you have to show up on their phone or in their inbox at the right moment to be there to support them. What are you guys doing from a tooling perspective to do that?
Yeah, so very good question. We've relied on a couple of different CRMs over the past decade. The latest one we've settled on is Monday.com. It's not traditionally used as a CRM, but it's a great workflow and CRM sort of process for us. A lot of static data lives there. A lot of our fluid data lives in the endless amount of meetings and huddles and Slack conversations that we're having with our team 24/7. So we have a really good standard SOP sort of checklist that every single trip goes through. And that both interacts with Monday and lives separately. And then we've got a lot of these fluid conversations that are happening based on whatever's happening in the world, where our clients are, where our people are, et cetera. So a combination of those plus a sort of a global macro view of meeting regularly as a team We have a Monday and Friday stand up, which we find very, very valuable to share knowledge, share new tips and tricks, share client wins, share gratitude with each other. Those are really wonderful ways of us sharing knowledge and ensuring that we're hearing what our clients' needs are and delivering on them.
So you mentioned listening. It sounds like not only listening to your clients, but listening to your team. Beyond just kind of hearing the client's needs and expectations, what are the other things that you're doing consistently that really help you earn and keep that trust with the client base?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think when we save people time, when we save them money, they value that and they start to then want to invest more in our relationship, right? And so if we're able to say to an EA or a PA or a chief of staff, like, look, we're here for you, even though you're not traveling, just as much as we are for that principal. We're earning the trust of two people now, right? And that almost like doubles down on each other, if that makes any sense. So that's wonderful. But I think that for us, taking a step back every time we interact with somebody, not being reactive, but hearing what they're actually saying, connecting it to a larger macro of what's going around, right? Look, we've got Google alerts set up on our clients and on their businesses to understand the stuff that's outside of what we know about them. Why is that? Because we want to know what they're going through. We want to know what their environment is right now. We want to know the macro for them. And that might not weave into our conversations or the flight they're taking to Boston next week, but it allows us to have this better view of who they are as humans and what they're experiencing and how we can help them out, right? And then we finish with that conversation every time. We're grateful for this opportunity and we're here to listen to know how we can be better. But above all, we're on your side. So if there's something you need that we're not doing or something happening out in the travel world that we can do better for you, like let us know. We're there to make that happen for you. And that works.
So something that blew my mind when I was learning about you and what you've built is that Savanti has never advertised. So one, why not? And was there a time when you were super tempted to change that?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a number of friends that were in the Google AdWords space back in the day. Now they're in the social advertising space or even with AI ads. And they're like, gosh, you guys would just kill it if you advertised. And I'm like, that's not our brand, right? Our brand is about one-to-one. Our brand is about hyper connection with the right people at the right time when there's a need. So we've been very fortunate to grow organically through word of mouth and referrals. That's awesome. But we've also been very selective of like, we don't want to work with everyone. We've got a no asshole policy in the business, right? If you're a jerk, sorry, we can't do business together. And so we're sort of hand selecting clients as they come to us saying, I'm interested. We're feeling them out just as much as they're feeling us out, right? But look, advertising works and very specific sort of like catfish style advertising right now is incredible with the technology that's out there. And so it is very tempting to go find some whales or some people that we could go pitch to, but it also feels inauthentic for who we are and how we've sort of grown our business. We're in the relationship business, not in the travel business, right? And because of that, relationships come to us and we want to nurture them and grow them. It might take in our sales process, it might take 3 months, 6 months to close a client. And that's totally okay. Has to be the right fit at the right time for everybody involved.
But you've scaled to 30 people, 5 continents, and it's really on referrals alone, it sounds like. What makes this kind of word of mouth system actually work for you at scale?
Well, I do have to be careful by using the word scale because we will never scale to the moon and we're going to be the anti-scale sort of like poster child, right?
Fair enough.
But we're very methodical in terms of how we want to scale, grabbing the right retainer clients. And most of our clients are on retainer, right? They're spending oodles of money traveling every year, but they're also spending a retainer with us because they trust us and they want us there 24/7 for them. So here's what I would say. When you build methodically, you're building a business that is intentional about the kinds of clients it wants to work with and the kinds of networks it wants to be a part of. And so where we've done advertising, if that's sort of the boundary line here, is we've been present at the right places that our clients are also present at to give away our model. What I mean by that is this. We've gone to family office networks and said, look, we're going to talk about the state of luxury travel for family offices, and we're going to give away our entire playbook. You want to learn how to charter aircraft by working directly with operators? Here you go. Here's the playbook, right? You want to learn about luxury travel and hotels and negotiations for group blocks or for getting amenities for your stays or why using your credit card actually isn't the best thing to do at a luxury property? Here's the playbook. We've already given those away. And when that's happened, referrals have come in, of course, but also we now have places to refer people out to. So we've expanded our referral network in a wonderful way. And that's helped drive, of course, client demand, but also the ability for us to interconnect other people too. So I would say referral networks are the way to scale. And it's not just a one-way inbound. It's actually much more outbound than ever. And that's been great for us. but we're not going to scale to the moon. I don't want to triple our client count this year because that would crush us all. It would be the end of our business.
Is there a system behind the referrals? Do you have a time that you always ask for it? Is there any kind of incentivization, or is it just a byproduct of, we do a great job and then people are telling other people?
So it's a bit of both, right? I think we look for the cues of when we're delivering delight for our clients. And that's not necessarily just the surprise and delight of a bottle of champagne in their hotel room with a nice note, but it's the actual delight of, we did this for you. We saved this for you. We went out of our way for you here and delivered this win. And inevitably, we get a referral after that, right? If we ask for it softly, hey, so glad that you had this win. We'd love to do this for your friends. We want to do this for your family. Like whatever that is, great. That's when the referrals easily come. But surprisingly, we're in the travel business as well. And we have all these hotel and GM relationships. And we actually get a number of inbound referrals from that category of folks too, who they could choose to send their business anywhere to a number of advisors, but they choose us, which is very humbling. And so when clients say to them, I need help, who should I call? And we get that phone call, we're very humbled and very grateful for that.
So maybe give us an example of a recent or one of your favorite kind of surprise and delight moments. And was there any lesson in there around client retention and referral?
Totally. So this is like down a weird rabbit hole, but it goes back to that bottle of champagne I mentioned a second ago. Whenever we've got a client staying at a luxury hotel, we're personalizing that arrival experience for them. So the hotel knows right when they're coming, what their likes and dislikes are. If they want the room temperature set to 62 and all the blinds drawn or whatever, like we know how to curate that kind of experience. One of our clients, her daughter was having a milestone birthday, young teenager in New York fairly recently. And the summer prior, she had been to a Taylor Swift concert. So we knew she was a Swiftie. She was in New York. And so we got her an autographed Patti Smith book delivered to her room because in one of Taylor Swift's lyrics, she talks about Patti Smith and the Chelsea Hotel. Right. And so it was this retrospective of Patty's life in New York and Manhattan, and it was just perfect. And we got a very, kind outreach from the mother saying this was so thoughtful and so small and personal, and it was so meaningful. Thank you. Right. And so that's a really like weird rabbit hole kind of example, but that's hyper curation at its best.
Yeah.
And that's what our clients love, but it's also how you stand out nowadays. Right. We've done private charters for clients to fly their dog from one coast to another, or we've done the crazy stuff that's like bombastic that we can talk about. But for us, those small, intimate, personal moments matter the most.
Travel is a very unforgiving industry.
Yes.
Stuff breaks at 2 a.m., flights get canceled, clients panic. How do you keep your team compassionate and caring in those moments instead of just transactional? Let me get you on the next flight. Let me help you through this crisis.
Well, they're humans too. Everyone's a human, right? We all put on our pants the same way, one leg at a time. And so when that phone call comes through and it's urgent, typically it's somebody who is actually on their time zone, working during normal business hours in wherever they are around the world. So it might be 2 a.m. for the traveler, but it's maybe 9 or 10 a.m. for the person picking up. So that helps. But they've got to then be that human, compassionate, responsive person and say, gosh, I hear you. I'm so sorry. And we're going to help you get out of this mess, right? We're going to connect with you. We've listened, heard your issue, and we know what to do. We have an SOP written and know how to be logistical and block and tackle this whole need you have. But I also want you to know that if you need anything as a human, I'm here for you, right? And so that's the structural way we do it. What happens next piece is we're an open communication team. So if someone doesn't know how to do something or stumbling, there is an all hands on deck, help me out here kind of button they can click. And they got 30 people who are on their team ready to go. Right. And so they feel supported just as they're supporting someone else. Right. No one is alone here. And then we meet on a regular basis as a team to really hone these skills so that everyone feels like if there is an issue that they have a pathway around it. They don't have to feel unprepared.
What is the hardest part of scaling a service business where the product is really human judgment and relationships and not software?
You can't teach judgment, right? And we can give them SOPs and tools and processes and all this stuff, but instincts, judgment, the strong communication skills of taking what could be a hot mess or a conflict and sort of denaturing it into a human, hey, I have you, right? Mm-hmm. That's hard to do. And there are people who really do it well, and there are people who you can maybe help them get a little further down the line, but they just don't have that judgment or intuition or instinct to be able to do it. So in our hiring, we have to do some personality tests and some situational awareness experiences and see, is this person going to cut it? And then we train so long before we're ever putting somebody client facing. It's a long process, but it's worth it because if you put the wrong person client facing in a moment of urgency, that could be disastrous.
Yeah. How do you say no to a client who isn't the right fit, especially when the revenue is tempting?
Or how do you say no to a client you've been working with for a while who just happens to fall off that don't be a jerk piece? It's hard. It's hard. We've had to fire clients in the past where they've been 25% of our revenue.
Oof.
But if you look at what it does to the team, morale and core values, right? Those things matter much more than a long term, or it'll be short term anyway, but a long term stay with that kind of client. So we have to have those conversations and say, look, we're just not the right fit. And we do that a handful of times every year. It's honestly a relief for both parties, I think. I think in the end, the client that we're having to let go of, they didn't want to be here either. And that's probably why they were acting the way they were.
All right. Quick speed round.
Yeah.
Quick questions, quick answers.
Perfect.
Biggest operational mistake you made growing Savanti and the rule it created?
Ooh, not having a process for everything. That's been terrible. So we really built SOPs. And then now we run on EOS. And I highly recommend to any other business starting up or even in their journey, get into documented processes that are verifiable and shareable amongst all. So everyone knows how to do the right thing the right way.
For founders building a premium service business, what's the one thing to obsess over in the first couple of years?
Client feedback, right? How are we doing? Where can we be better for you? What do you need from us? What are we not fulfilling for you? Client feedback is key. Listen, listen, listen.
What does luxury mean to you personally? And has building Savanti changed your answer?
Totally. It's all about personalization and being attuned to that unspoken, but it's about connection, like human connection, right? We walked into a hotel one time and my wife's like, oh, I love this scent in the lobby. And when we were checking out 2 days later, the hotel had gifted us a bottle of that scent, right? I mean, that is luxury at its core. Whether that was a $5 bottle or a $1,000 bottle does not matter. It was unbelievable, that curation and care.
Yeah. All right. Last one. A founder comes to you and says, I want to grow entirely by word of mouth. What do you tell them to do? Where do they start?
Yeah, these are great questions. Look at the channels that you're already in. Make sure your whole team knows that your growth will come from those channels. So anybody adjacent in those channels that you're working with or you want to work with, you have to make sure you're listening to their feedback, you're working with them, you're hyper curating your offering to that channel. And then really aligning you and your team on how to create those experiences with your company that those channels are going to resonate with and want to talk about and share in their own networks. And then really last but not least is being humble and realizing that word of mouth is incredibly tough and it will take forever and you will go through waves. But in the end, if you stick to your strategies and don't change your game plan every 6 weeks, you'll be wildly happy after a decade or more of being in business.
I love it. Leigh, this was specific and real, exactly why I do this show. Where can people find you online and what should they reach out to you about?
Yeah, so we're at savantitravel.com. That's SAVANTI, the word travel.com. Please reach out about anything that you're working on in the world of travel where you need help. We love to be helpful. We'll point you in the right direction anytime we can. My name is Leigh Rowan. It's kind of spelled in a funny way, but these are my Instagram and LinkedIn handles. It's LEIGHROWAN. Feel free to reach out online as well. Anything we can do to connect you, even if we're not the right people or potential partners or otherwise, if I can connect you to somebody in my network that needs to know you, I'm more than happy to do so.
And we'll include all of those links in the show notes. Leigh, you and your team had some great offers as well for Frank Growth listeners. So a 20% discount on select trip planning fees, 14 months of a signature membership for the cost of 12, and a waived waitlist for executive elite membership. And we'll include links and details in the show notes. Is there anything folks need to know in terms of redeeming any of those great offers?
Just reach out and make sure you know that Jason sent you and that Frank Growth is a wonderful place to learn and listen. And hopefully that you're going to be bringing your own business on this show sometime soon.
Awesome. Leigh, thank you so much for being here. This was a really fun conversation.
Awesome. Really appreciate it. Thank you again.
That was Leigh Rowan and a clear look at how to build a premium service business that scales on trust, not ads. Here are my quick top 3 from today. If you remember nothing else, remember these. First, luxury is having someone who has your back, not the highest price tag. Leigh's definition reframes what premium service actually means: deep personalization, proactive advocacy, and hearing the said and unsaid. Anyone can book a Four Seasons. The real value is in relationships and care that you can't buy online. 2, you're in the relationship business, not the travel business. Savanti has never advertised because word of mouth isn't a shortcut. It's the entire model. They show up at the right rooms, give away the full playbook, and let the work generate the referrals. The system is deliver a win, ask softly, and expand the network in both directions, inbound and outbound. And 3, protect your culture even when it costs you revenue. Leigh has fired clients worth up to 25% of their revenue. That's not a slogan, it's an operating principle. Team morale and core values matter more than any single account, and the clients you let go probably didn't want to be there either. All right, here's one action you can take this week in 10 minutes or less. Pick one client relationship and go deeper. Set up a Google alert on their name or their business. Learn what's happening in their world outside of what they tell you directly. The next time you talk to them, use that context, not to sell, but to listen better. That's the gap between transactional service and the kind of trust that generates referrals. That's Frank Growth. If this gave you something you can use this week, follow the show and share it with one operator or founder who needs it. I'm Jason Shafton from Winston Francois. We help tech companies build sustainable, repeatable growth with a proven operating system. Show notes and takeaways are in the description. Be frank and keep growing.